everyone. I am Jasmine Cephas Jones, and I play Ashley Rose in the Star series Blindspotting. This show follows a family as they struggle through the arrest and incarceration of a loved one. This is an issue that actually affects millions of people out there, but is rarely talked about from this perspective. Joining me now are Bianca and Monique, the two women who have lived through this awful experience. Hello, ladies. Thank
Hello.
you. Thank you so much for being here. Would you just like to introduce yourselves?
Sure.
Sure. Hi, Jasmine. Thanks so much for having us here today to talk about this and making space for our experiences. My name is Bianca. I am a staff member at Essie Justice Group, and I'm also a sister, which is what we refer to of our membership. So I'm a member of Essie Justice Group, which means that I am part of the 1 in 4 women who have an incarcerated loved one. And I'm also part of a powerful community of women isolation breakers who are dedicated to ending mass incarceration and the harms it causes on families and communities. And I'm here today with my mom, who's also my formerly incarcerated loved one. And I'm going to pass it over to her to introduce herself.
Okay. Hi. I am Monique. I'm Bianca's mom, and I am a formerly incarcerated individual with family members who are formerly incarcerated and currently incarcerated. I also am a member of the Essie Sisterhood. I participated in the Healing to Advocacy cohort, which helped me break my isolation and gave me the opportunity to share my story as a formerly incarcerated individual, but also with current and formerly incarcerated loved ones. So it helped me tremendously with my entire situation and myself and my family. And I would like to thank you for having me here this morning. I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, lovely ladies, for being here and just for all the work that you do, that healing process and the way to process these feelings and what these families go through is really, really important. So thank you for what you do. I would like to start with you, Monique. From your perspective, can you tell us more about the obvious and not so obvious ways that incarceration impacted your family?
Yes. I'd like to note the show helped me visualize the gravity of what my incarceration did, how overnight circumstances can change in the blink of an eye, such as losing your home, your belongings being placed in storage, losing your car, your child, my daughter, losing her home. Also, it's her home and her bedroom, and also losing the friendships that she had built while living in that neighborhood. Overnight, all of those things changed. I'd like to also note that the show helped me tremendously identify with the scenes of the difficulty of telling the young son that his father was incarcerated and not returning. I can relate and identify to that. And also to the sentencing. I'm going to talk about both combined. During the year, I was on pretrial for 1.5 years. And during that time, I was agonized daily by whether or not I was going to have to tell Bianca if I would be going away and that I would miss her 6th grade graduation. And every day I would hope for the best, but I'd have to prepare for the worst. And so waiting for that sentencing for over 1.5 years, it was agonizing. However, I was able to remain strong and suit up and show up for what I needed to attend to as far as the wreckage in my life that I had created. And so when that day came, I had the continued support of my family and community, which allowed me to be able to suit up and show up for that day. And they were present with me in court. It was approximately 18 people. And I needed them physically there for me to stand before that judge and hear my sentence. Also, waiting to hear that sentence and knowing that, okay, this weekend I'm going to have to tell Bianca that I'm going away and I'm going to miss her graduation. Once again, I physically needed, and I had my family and community members present at my home with me so that I could sit down and tell her this information. And it was very hurtful, deeply painful. And I was able to get through it once again with family and community. I would have not been able to survive.
Mm.
Another example I'd like to share is being a part of Essie is allowed me to do the same for someone who is formerly incarcerated or currently in a court situation. As an Essie sister, I have the opportunity to attend court with Essie Sisters. And it's made a significant difference in their outcome when the judge and the prosecutor sees people showing up for individuals. The outcome is night and day when they see that. And I'm very grateful to Essie that I have the opportunity to do for someone else what was done for me. It's very important. And then finally, I'd like to say my heart truly goes out to incarcerated individuals and their families. I'd like to encourage them to never give up their hope. Keep trudging. It is very hard, but just even if you have to push reset, start over, do it. Keep trudging and turn your wound into weapons that will allow you to be able to be of maximum use to those that you love and the ones that love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. A lot of people ask me or the cast of this show of what do you want people to take away from this show? And we always say that when it comes to the prison system, people watch the news and people become information. People just start to become numbers and information. And I think what we try to do on the show is just bring humanity and have people that might not understand or, have one thought of like what the prison system can be, start a conversation, understand that these are real people in real situations and their whole life can change in a blink of an eye. And, we try to be almost like vessels, for understanding in this situation. So thank you so much for sharing your story. And, I think I always say that Ashley's blind spot in the first season is that she feels like she doesn't have family, or like nobody to lean on, but her family's right there. And I think she wouldn't be able to do this without her family and her support system. And so, for the people that feel like they don't have the support system that have to go through something like this, and guys like you and the group that you have to that support to be there for people, it's everything, because to have something taken away from you or, your life change like that, it trickles into everyone, involved. It becomes this big, gigantic thing that doesn't just affect one person, but many, many people and can destroy families. So thank you guys for your story and what you do. In my research for my character, I learned how alone so many people can feel when a loved one is incarcerated. And, isolation seems to be a huge part of the experience. And yet there are over 5.5 million people in the US criminal justice system. And each of those individuals has someone who loves them. People experience this needs to know that they are not alone. And what are some ways that people can help with this? So I guess like in your group, when you do support these people, what are the ways that you do that?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that question. And I just wanted to acknowledge that in our work, we're a member-led organization, which means the women who are directly impacted by incarceration are leading our work. And those are the experts in coming up with how we're going to solve the issue of mass incarceration in this country. And there's just, I think, something that I hope people get out of our story is that mass incarceration is not only a race justice issue, but it's also a gender justice issue. You have the stat here that over 5.5 million people in the U.S. There are 5.5 million people in the U.S. criminal justice system. There's also 1 in 4 women who have an incarcerated loved one, and that stat goes up to 1 in 2 Black women who have an incarcerated loved one. And so our work at Essie Justice Group, our program is a 9-week healing to advocacy program that both my mom and I went through. And what it really does is center the power of storytelling in our program, and how using your voice and being able to express your story to someone is an empowering thing when you've been told that your incarcerated loved one is irredeemable or someone who shouldn't be discussed at the kitchen table. When you're able to be in a community of women who said there's power in your story, it changes the way that you look at your loved one and your community, and how you're able to show up for them and advocate for yourself and for them. And so I think the ways to get involved with us, first, definitely learn more through our website. We have a lot of our publications. We've done studies on this on our website, which is essejusticegroup.org. We also ask y'all to nominate women that you know who have been impacted by incarceration. If you go to our website, there's a nominations form there. And it asks you to tell us about that woman that has been impacted by incarceration, share a little bit about their story. And we pick up the phone and we call them and we invite them and tell them that, hey, there's a community of women who, I know it feels hard and alone, but we got your back. And that is something that was powerful to me. I remember being a little bit ashamed and living in the stigma of my story until I interned here my freshman year of college, which was in 2017. And that was my first task as an intern, was to do some of these nominations calls. And I'm hearing that my story isn't as uncommon and as unfamiliar as I thought it was. And that's what's really kept me in this work, is like knowing that how much someone else's story changed me and allowed me to accept myself, that I want to do that for other people and continue to advocate in that way. So I definitely think nominating someone that y'all know is a way to help. And then lastly, donate. We run campaigns. We have our cohorts, and there's so many ways to get involved in our work. And so, yeah, I hope that answers the question, but I'll pass it back to you.
No, yeah, most definitely. I think I'm curious to know, what was that inspiration to start to get involved and helping, I guess, helping in this group? What was the start of that fire, that drive?
Yeah, I think I never really talked about my story outside of my very immediate family who knew where my mom was. I remember I was the person who would try to make reasons why my mom wasn't at a certain event, or reasons why she was, as she was re-entering society, why she couldn't be present at certain things. And I was introduced to the group through one of my basketball coaches who knew that I was going through this incarceration experience. And I reached out to them because I read a little bit on their website. I was like, wait, these sound like my people. And I've never been connected to my people like that before. And I think that's what sparked it. But what kept me here was actually hearing the stories of others like me through the nominations calls that we do, and knowing that there's other people who are facing the same things. So yeah, that's what's.
I did have a family member in Rikers who was accused wrongly of something, and they eventually got out, and we fought every single day, and it really did take over our lives. And I just remember how almost like how they made it so hard for us. And even down to the visitation, of walking into the space and visiting the prison, and you could be waiting, and going through so many hoops to get to a certain point, and the bell rings, and all of a sudden they're doing a turnover or something, and it's like you've got to go back home. And that happens to Ashley, I think in one of the episodes in season 1, and she's been waiting there for hours. So I also don't think people know, like, just the emotion that goes into it when you visit a person, and almost how hard it feels, or almost you feel like a prisoner while you're visiting. Maybe speak on that a little bit, of just like the a little bit of like what that emotion is, like how hard that is, even just to sometimes get a visit, from a loved one.
Yeah, I think what my mom was speaking about a little bit earlier about the necessity of community
Yeah.
is what I know to be true about how I was able to maintain my relationship with my mom while she was away. I know, like, I was around 10, and she was about 5 hours away. So those look like intentionally planned trips to go visit my mom that I saw my grandma coordinate. I saw my cousins coordinate and really show up to make sure that I was able to go visit my mom. And I know that one of the hardest things and one of the hardest visits to do was a Mother's Day visit.
Yeah.
When we're going to celebrate my mom, and yet I have to leave after a certain time period when visitation is over, and she can't come with me. I saw Sean asked that question to Miles in one of the episodes as well, of like, okay, are you going to come with us? Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's what comes up for me, is my community and how important that was. And then the hardest part was always leaving, knowing that she couldn't come with me.
Yeah.
And I'd like to note how deeply I felt very sad and frustrated with myself and angry with myself that here my child has to come and visit me at this facility. And what it made me do in turn was, let's make sure that this never happens again. Mm-hmm. And that's what I would tell myself, during every visit. Okay, this is happening. I wish that it wasn't, and she didn't have to come here like this, but let's just focus on this not happening again. And that's what is keeping me going, one day at a time, this not happening again. Also too, you were reminded, how much you've taken for granted your family, because you realize here they are coming out of their way, out of their day, and driving 5 hours, staying overnight in a hotel. These things cost money in addition to the person's time. And so I was able to realize how I took my family for granted. And but however, through this process, I don't take my family for granted anymore now. And so I was able to learn a lot, and kind of grow up and put the big girl pants on, and focus on the situations and circumstances that got me to that situation, so that I was able to be accountable and correct them so that they do not happen again. And so that's with the tears coming down my eyes after that first visit, when she was leaving, and I was able to see her walk across the bridge, and I cried, and I said, no, this will not happen again, God. Yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for your bravery and all your amazing work. I'm really grateful to talk to you, and thank you for sharing your story. And it's been an honor talking to you both. So thank you.
So
Thank you very
wonderful to
much,
meet you.
Jasmine.
Thank you.
Best wishes to you.
Bye.